He's got our presentation. Yep, and he's going to run it for us. We just have to say next slide when we're presenting. He's going to run it for us. We just have to say next slide, and then he'll move forward for us.
That is the one. Thank you.
Is that all right? Oh, yeah, of course. No, I think that. You have it? Yeah, run it for us.
They had a Google thing to drop it into, and I says it's easy to take one Google thing and put it into another Google thing. But I. Oh, wait.
Want to cover the first 2 or 3 slides.
I cannot access it.
I'm nervous nobody's going to show up.
Well, the link submits.
Okay.
There's one. I'm at 10. I know.
How are you?
Sit there in the front. Oh, I have internet. What? They stole what?
Yesterday when I left for work, I was like, in my house.
one of my housemates left her phone on the couch, and it's like roughly the same size. So I grabbed it and left, thinking it was my phone.
Right.
And then as I'm driving, I get all the way to MLK. And all of a sudden there's just an alarm.
It's not your phone.
And I'm like, what is that? And I'm like, poor girl. So I get all the way back to the house, but it took like 20 minutes. The traffic was so she's panicked. And of course I can't call her because her phone. I'm on my way. And so anyway, I was telling Luke when I get into the house, like I pull up in front of the house, she just comes running out of the driveway. She goes, why? Why did you take my phone?
I really want you to have a bad memory.
I was like, I'm sorry. And then I was trying to, how do I say accident in Ukrainian? You know, I was
Oh,
just
yeah,
like,
there's
I was
a
like, there's
person.
an accident. And then I just looked at her and I go, me crazy. And then she's like, okay.
You know, I was out riding.
If we have one, only one person.
Okay.
Okay, I know. I'm like, I'm really, really hoping we get at least 10 people. I'm gonna be so excited. Because we're brand new. I'm gonna stop. And I'll finish with. One of my favorite ones. So let's. Yeah, I'm gonna be sending one. If I want to know.
Yeah. Because it'd be nice if we could be closer. Oh, wait, it's a,
Yeah. if it's-
okay, we'll just take it down.
Yeah.
That works. So, yeah, this is too far away.
Let's just do it right now. Yeah.
Just pull out. The only thing is the video will be, but we'll just put 2 chairs right there.
This works.
We're home sharers. We like to be close.
Oh.
Well, if, since it's going online, we can have to.
Oh, okay. All right. Right. Oh, I forgot about that.
So.
I'm so excited.
Somebody's audience. I'll just gently.
streamed.
People coming in the door. I'll wait.
Okay.
All right. All right, well, then.
Come on forward, y'all.
What? They already have one?
Oh, okay. Okay, can you guys, well, yeah, okay. Sorry, I'm not accustomed to using a microphone. Welcome, everybody. I'm really excited that you're here and I appreciate you coming by. There's so many absolutely fantastic and interesting topics that I know it's difficult to pick and choose. So I want to thank you for coming to learn more about Homeshare Oregon and our organization. We are fairly new. I'm Tess Fields. I'm the executive director and based out of Portland, Oregon. And this is Judy Smith, and she is our Southern Oregon area representative for Homeshare. So we thought we would start really just kind of explaining to folks, you know, who we are and how we got started. If you can go to next slide. So basically what we do is we launched about a year and a half ago. And as we watched the affordable housing crisis become worse and worse, and you know, we've all been impacted by it, we started to ask ourselves, what else can we do? Right. So Oregonians, I think, have been, you know, really generous. We've raised tax dollars, we've passed bonds, we've you know, focused millions and millions of resources, both federal and state level, to try to create additional inventory, all of which needs to be done. However, we were like, what else can we do? And so we did some additional research and learned that from the Oregon census that there's 1.5 million owner-occupied homes across the state of Oregon that have a spare bedroom available. And 1 out of 3 homeowners are mortgage burdened or at risk of foreclosure. And so we felt, you know, if we could just get 2% of those homeowners to basically rent a spare bedroom, we could house 30,000 people affordably and with no new infrastructure. So, and simultaneously, we could build financial resilience for homeowners who are at risk of losing the homes that they love. And so ostensibly kill 2 birds with 1 stone. So once we realized this, we did some additional research and I came across a study that had been commissioned by the Washington State Legislature and executed by University of Washington. And it was a study on home sharing and basically was like, why aren't people doing this? This is just kind of like common sense that if you're, you know, if you're a homeowner and you're struggling, you would rent a room out if you've got the room, like, you know, what's the impediment? And basically what we realized or what we learned and what the research showed is that the biggest impediment to home sharing is simply that it's not the cultural norm. So back before World War II, we had boarding houses and SROs and, you know, all these other, you know, people took in boarders all the time. We even had popular culture, you know, folks remember the Andy Griffith show. Aunt B was a home sharer. Andy was her boarder, you know, and he rented a room with his little kid or whatever. So it was fairly ubiquitous. But then as the, you know, culture shifted and it became about, you know, single home ownership and that's the American dream and, you know, et cetera, it just honestly fell out of popularity and actually was starting to kind of be seen as odd. And this kind of cultural shift unfortunately perpetuates through the lifespan. So even when you're a parent and your kid ages out and goes to college, it doesn't occur to you to rent out that room, right? And then for, if you take it in terms of intergenerational living, if a kid graduates from college and they come home and they're renting a spare bedroom from their parents, if that kid's not out in a year, you know, the friend's parents are looking at them and going, why is your kid so mooching off you? Like, aren't they successful? Don't you want to get them out of the house? You know, and the adult child is also somewhat shamed of, you know, friends going, why are you still living at home? And we see all of that in popular culture as well. Never date a man who's still living with his parents, et cetera. When in actuality, the way that we started to look at this was, that person is providing some financial assistance to their parents and helping to make the mortgage payment, the family staying intact. But more importantly, that person is allowing for an apartment to be available for a person who doesn't have a family to home share with. And so when we started to really think about it from that perspective, we really started to see spare bedrooms as underutilized housing inventory. So our mission, and from there, we kind of developed out a mission, which is to expand access to affordable housing through the home share program model. And we launched about a year and a half ago, and we were met with a lot of skepticism. So people were like, nobody's going to do that. Nobody's going to rent out a spare bedroom. And it was really interesting to me because I had been a home sharer at one point when I had gone through a divorce, and we had a typical argument about money. I could not afford to pay my mortgage independently with my 2 kids. And so I took in a home sharer for a little bit over a year until I was able to get myself in a different situation and things had settled. So I found it odd that when we were, it was like when we were young, we were all living together. We lived in dorm rooms that my son's living in one right now, which literally it's, but then all of a sudden, like as an adult or, a woman my age, it's kind of seen like, why would you do that? So when we launched, we really launched with one goal and purpose, and that was to shift the cultural norm. So I like to sort of liken it to, goal 1 of our organization is kind of like the Hoot Hoot Don't Pollute campaign, or, Smokey the Bear Put Out the Fire campaign. It's home share. If you've got a spare bedroom, rent it out, et cetera. If you have the kind of personality that's conducive to home sharing, find a person that has a room to rent and let that be your first option, as opposed to, an independent apartment. And again, it really comes down to how we started to view this as underutilized housing inventory. We've got housing inventory. We're not using it, right? Because they're with all these empty bedrooms. So how do we get those filled first, and then hopefully take some of the pressure off of apartments and some of these other things? Is kind of how we looked at it. So our vision basically is we envision a world in which every person has a clean, safe home, a world where home sharing is normalized as a lifestyle preference and homelessness is uprooted. At this point, and Judy's kind of go over more, we have had 617 homeowners sign up to home share. The average rent is $700 a month, $735 a month. We've had over 2,000 housemates sign up to home share. So what started as skepticism and we don't really think people are going to do this, we have now found ourselves in a situation where we can't keep up with the demand. Because there are so many people who are actually excited about home sharing. Seniors particularly are excited about home sharing, but they just need a little bit of assistance in order to make it happen. And so with that, I'm going to let Judy take it over.
Thank you, Tess. You want to go to the next slide. These are some of the folks who've heard our story and started to share it for us. I'm especially fond of the Think Out Loud one. That's one where Tess and one of our home share participants had an interview on the NPR station. It was, we really had a good response with that, and the others as well. My role as a area manager, the piece that Tess talks about where you're trying to change the culture. How do you do that, right? Well, like this, we talk to people. I talk to people all the time. I will talk to one person. I will talk to 40. I want to get the idea out there because when my grandparents walked the earth, and granted, I'm in my 60s, so this is a while ago, this was normal. So somehow we have to get people from I actually walked a guy through this morning at our table. because he was very skeptical. And I said, well, because he's like, that sounds dangerous. I don't want to do that. Why would I want someone in my home? I don't know. Right. So you got to get him from that point to, that's a pretty good idea. Right. And then a little farther along, hopefully, who knows, it'd be nice. Maybe he'll start thinking, why am I not doing this? I could use an extra $800 a month. I mean, I don't know about you, but in my budget, that's pretty significant. Next slide, please. So other people are starting to think this is a great idea too. We've got over 60 organizations that have endorsed us. And as Tess mentioned, AARP is really in favor. And I have to say, when people call and ask me about home sharing, and I do get lots of phone calls because people are curious, I would say over half the people I talk to are over the age of 60. And it's not just homeowners. We've got lots of people in my generation who maybe didn't, project the fact that a 3-bedroom, 1-bath house was going to go for $350,000, right? I don't know, the whole idea of what's happening with our economy and the lack of affordable housing. Aged homelessness is a real danger. And there was an article that came out of Street Roots, Portland Street Roots, which is affiliated with the Oregonian, where they were talking about this is a very big concern. Next slide, please. So how does it work? Everybody wants to know, how do you do this? Well, honestly, I think the best way to find a home share is to let everyone that you're looking, whether you're the homeowner with a space to rent, or actually we like to call them home providers, because you can be renting a place and want a housemate. And if it's okay with your landlord, it's okay with us. But we do have some technology available. We have a contract with a roommate matching service where we will provide access to, it's a little bit like a dating app. I know that's kind of weird, but both parties answer a long list of compatibility questions, and their algorithm helps you kind of sort through it, right? So based on location and the way you answer those questions, you will be matched with people. And there is a lot of them are tick the box, but there's space in there to say anything you want. So I always tell people when I'm coaching them with their profile, if it's important to you, it needs to be in there. I think one of my favorite examples was a woman who is allergic to fragrances. And I said, my goodness, we need to make sure that you do not match with someone who's into aromatherapy. That needs to be in your profile. We provide background screens. We'll pay for that. And by the way, not just for the home seeker, but the home provider too, because our home seekers want to feel secure. And we think you should ask for references and you should check them. Right? I've had people call me back and say, Judy, I wish I would have listened to those next 3 steps because I didn't do that way and I'm not happy. And it's like, well, let's start where we're at and review. So anyway, we encourage renters to get renters insurance. We encourage homeowners and to check with their insurance and make sure that they've got the coverage they need. And again, I spend a lot of time doing direct client support, and I'm always looking for community events to present at. So if you know of some place I should be or Tess should be or any of my colleagues, please let us know. Next slide, please. Oh, we've got some testimonies here. I'm not going to read them to you, but we are really fortunate. Our communications director went after the, the Great Nonprofit Seal of Approval. And so we encourage some of our participants to go online and give us some good reviews so we could get that platinum level. But it's starting to work. As Tess said, we've got, the PowerPoint said 617, but as of yesterday, we have 620 homeowners across the state who have signed up with us. Now, not all of them have opened their homes yet. It's a process. It's a big process. Next slide, please. So Tess already mentioned that 1.5 million spare rooms. We bring it up again because it's important. Imagine if we could facilitate that 2%. And, not only do people get an affordable place to live and the homeowners get some income, my goodness, that opens up housing for people that home sharing doesn't work for, because it doesn't work for everyone. But the way that we do it, it's mutually beneficial, it's flexible, it's affordable, and it's independent. We give people the tools, we coach them along the way, but we don't put anybody in your home. That is your decision to make. But we do like to make sure that you have a written agreement in place. So, you can figure those kinds of things out, and we'll coach you along with that too. Next slide, please. Oh, another success story. So I'll let you look at that for a minute. I'm trying to think what I can say in this very moment. Honestly, when they were talking about the stories during lunch, how you have to go and learn how to tell stories. Well, I have got stories of people I've talked to. I was talking to a woman last week. She lives in Springfield, Oregon, which is where I'm located. I was at a tabling event, and she's lonely. She's in her 70s. She's got a walker, and she's lonely. She has a 4-bedroom house and 2 outbuildings, one of which you could put in a welding shop. I know my husband would like that, but anyway. So, but all her rooms are full of stuff. So she has to figure out how to clear that out. Well, there's organizations that can help them do that too. I mean, you have to pay a little bit. But again, it's that process. Somebody starts thinking about it, it can be months before they decide to move forward, because you really have to wrap your brain around it. Next slide, please. So how does it work? I knew you'd want to know. You go to our website and you sign up. There's lots of good information there. If you haven't been to our website, please consider doing so. Homeshare Oregon. Please put in Oregon or you'll end up somewhere else. And read the information. And if you have a spare room to rent, consider signing up with us. Or if you know someone who has a spare room, maybe you have a great Aunt Tilby somewhere with a 4-bedroom house. We'd love to talk to her. But we also work with the people seeking homes. So this is where they sign up for that too. And they have to identify themselves as whether they're the provider or the seeker. We give you access to that online app. You don't have to do it that way, but it is efficient. And again, there tends to be more homes in the larger populated areas. Our top counties right now are Multnomah, Clackamas, and Washington. But coming in 4th is Lane County. That's where I am, because I'm very enthusiastic and I get people excited. We want people to communicate through that app if that's the way they're doing it, because it's secure. You don't give out your phone number. You don't give out your email until you find someone, right? And then you reach out, you message back and forth, you find someone. And when you find that right fit, then we talk you through the next steps. Next slide, please. So these are some of our best practices. Do not create a fantasy personality online. You will not match well, so you have to be honest. It's important to put some pictures out there, especially if you're the home provider. It's a little bit like Airbnb for the home provider, because they do have to do that. I had one woman in Boring, Oregon, who felt nervous about putting a picture of anything that was hers, so she posted a picture of an empty field across the street and wondered why no one had contacted her. And I said, I had a conversation with her. I said, so tell me about this picture you put up. What is that? And she gave me her reasons. I said, well, would you want to move into an empty field? Well, no. Let's talk. And she put some pictures up and eventually found someone. Yay, success. That finding the right fit, this is really important. Again, it comes along with some of the coaching. I like to tell people, don't invite them to your house right away. Don't go to that house right away if you're the seeker. Meet somewhere neutral. I suggest a coffee shop. Libraries are great, although we had a couple of women here in Portland who had dogs and they wanted their dogs to be compatible. So of course they went to a dog park, right? You work that out, but you have some conversations, maybe more than one, where you really talk it out. You can figure out a lot about compatibility if you sit down with someone, although we have had people do it on Zoom. I mean, it is a pandemic. And let's see, security, that's really important to us. We highly encourage people to do the background checks. Notice I said highly encourage. We can't make anybody do any of this, right? We give them the resources. We offer to pay for it. We tell them it's a good idea, but it's their choice. If you're using the online app to do that, that is your information. It doesn't get posted anywhere. You share it with whomever you think you want to share it with. You got to ask those questions that may be more difficult than others. And my most important tip, take your time. It takes a while to find a good fit, but if you do the work at the beginning, it will last longer. Silverdist, which is our partner, tells us that most home shares last between 1 and 3 years. Although Tess met someone the other day who was like 20 years in, right? Was it always with the same person? Wow, that's unusual. I do know a woman who home shared for 8 years with a senior, and she told me it wasn't always easy, but she had a goal. And her goal was to save enough money to buy a house when she retired. And she did that last fall. And just right on her schedule was a mobile home in Springfield. And she's set and ready when I don't think she's ever going to retire. She's like me. Anyway, but you know, that the process, it just takes a long time. So when people call me and say, hey, 211 said I should call you, I'm living in my car, I listen compassionately for a little bit. And then I ask them to pause and I'll just say, let me tell you how our program works. If you want to try it, I will make sure you know how to do this before the end of the call, but you need to understand how this works. And they're so happy to find a real person on the phone that they just want to give me everything, way more than I need to know. But I have compassion for these folks because they're in a tough situation. And you know what? I did have one guy say, are you crazy? I don't want to live with someone. And he hung up. And I have other people who say, well, I can't do that right now, but I am going to go move in with my, friend, neighbor, whatever. I said, well, you can sign up. It takes a while to find someone. You can sign up at any point when you're ready, and we can see if we can help you do this. Next slide, please. So who do you know? Should you be home sharing? Because anyone with an extra room can join our organization. We are not case managed. You do not have to be income qualified. Anyone with a spare room can join us. Anyone who wants to consider this can join us as long as you're in Oregon. We're not going to help you find a home in Pennsylvania. All right. But we will try. If you're moving to Oregon, yeah, we helped a woman from Montana move here and match with someone. So if you want to live in Oregon, that's our focus right now. It's all in the name. Homeshare Oregon. But it works really well for empty nesters. Tess has recently sent her wonderful son off to Montana to go to school. And she's got a couple of Ukrainians that have just moved in with her who were fleeing the war. And we don't know how long that's going to be, but they made her borscht the other night. They made so much borscht, she offered some to me. It sounded really good, but I didn't take her up on it. People who are experiencing major life transitions, moving, divorce, if your spouse passes away, here's another one. If you put your spouse into extended care and your finances are now a mess, it's a really good idea to at least consider it. Another thing that's very popular with some of our participants, especially the older generation, if they want to age in place, they want to stay in their home as long as possible, but it's getting to be a bit too much. You can barter. You can say, hey, if you will mow the lawn every week and clean the gutters and hang the Christmas lights, I'll take $20 an hour off your rent. I mean, you can figure it out, right? I did have one woman who just lowered the rent because her housemate said she'd do the chores and then she never did them. They dissolved that. Yeah, that didn't last. And like that woman I was talking about, the one who's so lonely, pandemic really brought that to the forefront. And anyone who's looking for community, this is really popular with some of the younger generation who are tired of us tearing up the earth to build things. They like the idea of a more cooperative arrangement. Next slide, please. So consider home sharing. If not for you, maybe somebody you know. All right. We do a monthly community call. It has a theme every month. I don't know what we're doing for next month yet, but it's coming. Just open to anyone who wants to learn more, and you can get information about that again on our website. Consider signing up for our newsletter. It comes out quarterly. We will not flood your email box with too many things. We do send out alerts once in a while. We've got one that's coming out soon about a homeowner who's looking for a housemate that the online app isn't working for. So we're, do what we can. And then please, please, please help us spread the word. If you're talking to someone and they sounds like they should know about us, mention us. We've got some flyers and information at our table. And I would love to connect with anyone in your community, your clubs, your friends, your neighbors, your countrymen. Please consider if there's an organization you think would like to learn more. We are, I'm in the southern part of the state, kind of like Salem South. And we have my new colleague Lupin, who's working here in the Portland area. We're looking for those opportunities because you never know where you're going to find a homeowner who might consider doing this. And we need more homeowners or this isn't going to work. Follow us on social media, donate us your extra money. I'm sure you all have tons of that. Consider volunteering. I am building a volunteer team in Lane County. I'm about to start one in Benton County. I know we're going to be needing them up here in the 3 big counties. We're looking for people who are passionate about affordable housing and helping us move this forward. And if you think your organization would like to ally with us, well, let's talk. Next slide, please. See, any stats we use, we actually have documentation. So if you want to read about any of these numbers and things, you probably already know them all because of the business you're in. But let me know and I'll email you all the links. But we're ready to take questions and we have an extra microphone. I'll hand this back to Tess because she knows all the answers.
Thanks, Judy.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you. So when I think of home seekers, like Homeshare seekers, my mind, the bias goes to like a single individual, but do you have Homeshare seekers that are like single parents or like larger groups that are looking for housing?
Yeah, I thank you for that question because I love answering this. The thing that's so fantastic about home sharing is how wildly diverse it is, in the sense that there is someone out there for everyone. And the best example that I can give really just happened 2 months ago, where I had a 71-year-old woman call me, lives in St. John's.
Move it up closer.
Oh, okay. Sorry. A 71-year-old woman who lives in St. John's. She had 2 bedrooms available in her basement. She needed help around the house. She had a chicken coop, organic garden. She needed help weeding, etc. And then she said, and I'm going through all this, and she says, I can't use a computer. You're going to have to help me. And I was like, okay. But then she says to me something that I had never heard. And she goes, I will only rent to someone who has small children. And I go, what? Can you say that again? Because I rarely hear that. She goes, well, I have this beautiful yard. I have these beautiful gardens. There's so many children out there who don't have a yard to play in. And I just want to, I want my yard to be used. And I miss seeing children running around playing back there. Probably a week later, I got a call from a gentleman named Josh, 45, single dad, dishwasher at Sherry's, 2 small boys, 3 and 5, living in a hotel on the verge of homelessness, could not find an affordable place. I connected him with Tony. They had a fantastic conversation, took them through the home sharing agreement and the process, including all the bartering exchanges and things like that he would be assisting with. She met the children and they're all moved in and everybody's happy. So I think that the answer to your question is yes. Obviously, many people are looking for just a single individual, but for instance, I'm home sharing right now with a couple, and then other people want children. Other people want a couple because maybe they have 2 bedrooms, but they don't want to worry about having to get a tenant and then get another tenant. And are we all going to get along kind of stuff? So it's just incredibly diverse. There's somebody out there for everyone in terms of these kinds of compatibility questions.
And I could add to that, the home providers go in with things that that are important to them. And one of the first people I talked to, I'm coming up on my 1-year anniversary of working with Homeshare next month. But one of the first people I talked to was a woman in Portland who had gone through a divorce, who had a kid, and she only wanted to rent to someone who was divorced and had a kid. Those are harder to find, but you don't know if you don't ask. And since our resources are available at no cost, I encourage people to consider it, but I always tell them that's not the only way to find a home share. The best way to find a home share is to let everyone know that you're looking, and you can still use our resources, right? We'll still support you and coach you through it. Another
Yeah,
question?
I think, yes, go ahead.
I'm not fast enough.
I'm curious about an individual that would be interested in home share. However, the space they want to share needs some cosmetic updates or structural, just minor structural updates. Do you assist with that?
So we try to connect people who can assist with that. Again, we launched a year ago. Our goal is to expand our program because we have so many seniors, frankly, who call us. I have a spare bedroom. I really want a home share. I'm lonely. I'm isolated, but the rug needs to be replaced. It's such a small cosmetic thing, or I just want another lock put on the door. So we're working with OCHS and others right now to basically create funding for those kinds of small remodels, because frankly, you guys, we cannot build our way out of this crisis. I think, we all heard the panel speakers at lunch today. They're talking about having to build 9,000 units of housing a year, every year for the next 10 years. We don't have the money, we don't have the land supply, and that takes forever. To build one unit of housing, you're looking at a minimum of $350,000 to $450,000. And so when you talk about the fact that we have underutilized housing inventory that we can maximize so that fewer of these independent units are needed and we can take the stress off, then it really helps everyone. So we just introduced, to also let you know, we're aggressively pushing for legislation that incentivizes home sharing. We just introduced legislation that for any homeowner in the state of Oregon that chooses to rent a spare bedroom at $1,000 or less a month, which is almost half market rate in some places, they are alleviated from any tax liability on the additional income. We have housing developers who get tax credits all the time for building affordable housing. We'd like to extend that opportunity to homeowners. And we'd also like to be able to say to homeowners, you could make another $7,000 a year tax-free, or up to $12,000 a year tax-free by renting out your spare bedroom. And it's really about reducing these impediments, right? If you need, we've got funding to do this, but we could actually have another affordable place for somebody to live if we just invest $1,500 in this senior woman's spare bedroom that needs a new floor. You see what I'm saying? So we really need to start thinking about how we can do this. And when it comes to safety nets in terms of housing, I'm right now kind of obsessed with the senior population because we hear so much from our seniors, and what's happening to them right now is a crime. And, they are living in apartments. They were told Social Security would take care of them in the 1950s. They're now sitting there. They're getting $1,200 a month. Women, of course, are getting less because many of them were caretakers of their children, so they didn't get Social Security. And they're literally being evicted from their apartments, and they're 74. Their friends are gone. And there's nowhere for them to go. So when it comes to safety, it's really how do we keep seniors in their homes for as long as possible, with this kind of program, so that they're not vulnerable and they can afford their houses later in life. And simultaneously, we, for the seniors who are being evicted, how do we find other seniors that they could potentially room with at $600 a month, which is affordable, and everybody be safe. So it's again, we can't build our way out of it. And we're not going to be able to build enough affordable housing units to even get close to where some of our folks are in terms of Social Security. Yes.
Is this information available in different languages? How's the participation of other communities of
Yeah,
color?
that's such a good question. Not yet, because we're so new. And we're trying to figure out how to do that because we've been up for a year, but the technology, the compatibility technology that we have can be Google translated, but we don't have it. And so when I've reached out to Latino communities specifically, That's one of our barriers. And so we can get our fact sheets and things like that in Spanish, but we don't have the funding yet to get the website in translatable too. But it's on our mission, it's on our goals, is to be able to do that. And then to also rely on some of our coalition partners who specialize in this stuff to figure out which language is first, for me, because, we don't, is it Spanish? Is it Russian? Is it, which one first? Eventually, hopefully all. But I was excited because I sat in OCHS's presentation this morning on diversity, and they've got some funding about how to do this. And so we're building towards that.
Thank you. First of all, just wanted to say this is phenomenal work. It's really exciting, and I'd love to learn more. I love the question about, families with kids. And, as you were speaking, I'm thinking of how this opens up opportunities for, families to live in neighborhoods that they typically would not have afforded, and have their kids go to schools that they wouldn't have had the opportunity to go to. The question I have, I know you had mentioned it takes time to match. I'm just curious about, on average, if somebody, especially for the folks who are seeking a place to stay, in your experience, on average, how long does it take?
The sad answer is it depends. I think the shortest I've been able to help someone was in less than a month. But I had another person who just matched, and she texted me and told me she'd finally matched in her community of choice, but it took her 10 months. So again, our key at this point is to find more homeowners who are willing to do this, because that, advances the opportunities. I think
It expands inventory.
yeah, there you
So
go.
if you have, as a housemate, if you have these requirements, like, okay, I need to live in this particular neighborhood. I want a non-smoker. I want someone that doesn't have dogs or cats because I'm allergic. You see what I'm saying? So the more it narrows it down. And that's why, and then simultaneously, we do encourage people to take time with the process. That home sharing is wildly successful based on compatibility. So we even encourage people to, throughout the interview process, where do you get your news? Fox or MSNBC? And that really seals the deal. So clear, like, I just tell people, if you're Fox, because I home share, we ain't going to get along, and it's not going to work for us. So, it's really important to be, and I love this program, you guys, because especially for middle-aged and senior women, it really helps them kind of set boundaries for themselves and be assertive in a way that they're not necessarily accustomed to. As a home sharer, I found myself going, well, it's probably okay if they do this. It'll be fine. And I had to remind myself, no, actually that's going to get on my nerves. And I want this person here for 2 or 3 years, And so I'm already setting myself up because I'm trying to be so nice to be unhappy. And housemates do the same thing. And you really can't. And that's why, we end up having longer experiences, is because people like each other, and they're getting along because they've respected one another's boundaries. So.
Another question?
I just want to suggest that to accommodate those of us with hearing loss, that when you ask a question, you stand up, speak slowly, and project your voice and enunciate. I couldn't even hear my partner right next to me here.
Okay.
So I need you, to really project your voice. Not loud.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
for
you.
that reminder. Is there another question? Gosh. Oh, we got one. All right.
I've got a ton of questions, but feel free to say, let's talk offline. Just curious as to what is like the retention rate for your partnerships or whatever you call them. Like, so how many, like how long do they typically stay in the homes, and then like what percentage leave after like a short time because it's not working for them?
It really, right now, so again, we've been up in Oregon for a year. So a lot of that data I investigated in other states that had been, there's about 62 other cities that have home share programs that are up and running. And they are articulated anywhere from 1 to 3 years is usually the average length of stay. And again, it's really up to the homeowner and the housemate. For us, what I really encourage people to do, because we're not case managers, other programs are running with a real case management specific lens. They're deeply engaged in the matching process, and we want to scale. So we really encourage people to do month to month lease until they feel confident. Yeah, I want to do this long term with this person. And that's for both the housemate and the homeowner. Because there are housemates too that have been in situations where they're like, oh my gosh, like I didn't know this was going to happen, but my boyfriend just proposed and I want to move in, but I just signed the 6-month lease. Can I get out? So, I mean, they want flexibility as well in these kinds of situations, which is fun. It's interesting.
Thank you.
Mhm.
And then what is the arrangement like for things like utilities, paying utilities, or like, sharing bathrooms? It's just kind of those day-to-day things.
Yeah. So, and I'll send you a home sharing agreement. It does not look like a traditional agreement. Okay. And again, it is really diverse. Some people say, for me, I say this much every month, utilities included. I'm totally fine with that. I have 1 bathroom. There's 3 of us living in the house. I could care less. Okay. It works fine for me. Other people basically will say, well, I want to share utilities. Other people will say, well, you don't have to pay utilities as long as you take out the trash every week and help me clean the kitchen. When it comes down to shared spaces, that's also within the home sharing agreement and arrangement that we educate people through. So in my particular home sharing agreement, I have put it in there, no, don't come into my bedroom. I will not come into your bedroom. The common areas are these places. This is what we share: kitchen, dining room, bathroom, living room, yard. And then simultaneously, we have quiet hours. So on the weeknights, it has to be quiet by 11. And then we're all up, around 7. On the weekends, you can party till 1, but then I need the house quiet because I want to get some rest. And then, or they can say to me, can this happen? So the whole thing, you really talk through the process. And some people, Brenda and Gail, for instance, there are 2 other seniors that we matched. Brenda was actually homeless, living in an RV. Gail was 71 and had a home and wanted to retire, but couldn't afford the mortgage. And so they ended up finding one another, and they have agreements all the way down to sponges versus dishcloths. So it was really important to Brenda that sponges aren't brought into the house because she thinks they're disgusting. And so like they put in the home sharing agreement, we're going to use dishcloths, so it really gets, I think that's what's fantastic about it. And also, frankly, what we have to educate people on is it's very versatile, and talking through those things and putting them in the home sharing agreement creates solid expectations, and it can really be what people decide is best for them.
Great, thank you. Just curious about like staff, how much staff you have?
Right now, okay, we're really excited. So when we launched, there was 1 staff person, and that was me. And of course, we launched statewide, and then we got up on television, and then we had 12,000 people traffic our website and thousands of people calling me on my cell phone. Anyway, we're really excited. We've raised additional dollars. We have a communications manager now. We have Judy, who is area representative for the southern part of the state. We also have Lupin, who is the area representative for the Tri-County area. We're going to be taking ourselves through an additional staffing and strategic planning model. We're looking to obviously hire a development director. We'll be hiring program representatives in Deschutes, which has been asking for our help, and also on the coast. But right now we're a great staff of 4.
And I can think off the top of my head, one person who could use a place to stay, and 2 people who are living by themselves who might benefit from a roommate. Do you have like talking points for the prospective home sharers, the people who are owning the homes, to give to them so that they can, kind of understand what the program is like, and so that they can think about, because I don't know if they would necessarily be interested in sharing their home, but maybe if they had enough positive talking points about it, they would change their mind.
Yeah, absolutely. So, obviously everything is on our website, which our new communications manager just made beautiful and professional and fantastic. So there's a ton of information on there. In addition to that, Lupin is happy to meet with anyone and talk with them about the process. This is what you do. This is the best way to do it. This is what you should consider specifically with our homeowners. Because again, we've had this culture of people hearing this is a bad idea, which is what we're changing, because it's a great idea. And everybody should be doing this if you have a room available, because it's community building and it's a lot of fun if you approach it with the right attitude. So the short answer is everything's on the website. And then we also have a staff person that can assist if you need. So for that person, as long as you call and leave a message, we'll call you back. So
And what is your inventory like for Salem area?
it vacillates. We've had 620 homeowners sign up. And in all honesty, I've worked nonprofit the majority of my life. And I also worked on a ton of political campaigns. I've never, ever worked for an organization where I've heard from all 36 counties. And all 36 counties have called and said, what do we do? How can we do this? We've got seniors that are living by themselves. They don't want to be living by themselves. And we've got nurses that can't find a place to live. And, how do we, so, the inventory vacillates. Obviously, Multnomah County, the more urban centers have more inventory, and then Salem vacillates. It can be anywhere from there's 5 one week to there's 30 another week to there's nobody this week. So it's just, and a lot of it also ebbs and flows with how much we get up on TV. To be honest with you, we're still working so hard to get the word out. And the more that people see this and think about it, the numbers just start to go through the roof in terms of housing inventory.
And my last question, I promise.
No, it's
They're
okay.
not,
I love
they're not
it.
paying me to ask all these questions, right? You're not paying me? Okay. Well, I'm from OHCS, and I'm a communications coordinator at OHCS, and so is Delia here. She's our PIO. So just my last question. Oh, yes, Oregon Housing and Community Services. Yes,
Who provides grant funding for us. So thank you.
not me
Thank
personally.
you. Thank you.
I don't do it personally, but so my last question though is what else can OHCS do to help your organization?
Oh, that's a great question, because I'm going to be talking to Mike about that next week. Actually, there's a lot, obviously. First of all, I want to thank OHCS, because honestly, when we launched this program, it was just me. And we really didn't know how people were going to respond. And then literally when we got up on the air, I'm not kidding. Like, it was just me. People were like, I don't really know if people are going to do that. I don't really know if people would be interested. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. We're just going to try this. And it was like a tsunami hit. And seriously, it was unbelievable. It was like, clearly we're not talking to the majority of people. I'm not, I have so many people calling me about this. So I talked with Mike, and he provided us with funding to help us get started. And now, what we're going to be looking to do, again, we just, this is just some examples, because we're going through the strategic planning. Now we have a vision that we've been doing all the services, but we're like, oh God, so we're going to ground, and we're going to build out the operations of what any normal nonprofit organization would need. We need a development director, we need a program support specialist. We're going to need somebody on tech, because the overwhelming calls that we get from seniors who they just need a little bit more assistance. They don't understand fully the technology. We want to continue to develop our technologies so that it's really simple for people to use. My end goal, and frankly, our end goal, is to put ourselves in a situation where there is no such thing as a housing provider organization that does not have Homeshare as a part of what they're doing. So you get these calls and you have rental assistance programs, or you have this, or you have that. Well, home sharing should be a part of it, because we've got to increase the inventory. Anyway, so funding, obviously, I also want to partner with the people that I saw from this morning about making things on the website bilingual. We need help with that. And then in addition to that, I really am interested from a diversity and inclusion perspective, it's been fascinating to go out and to talk to people in the Black community, Latino community, et cetera, because I thought that there was going to be, I literally, and this comes down to sort of a white privilege lesson that I learned. I thought, you know, most Latino community members are going to be able to lead the way on this. They've been home sharing forever. They've got this thing down and they can teach us how to do this. And then I met with some people in the Latino communities to talk about this. And they said, actually, we're really good at this when it comes to our families, but not when it comes to strangers. And then it was even more fascinating because she articulated to me, and again, I don't know if this is true or not, and this is where I want to see, this is where OHCS could help in terms of our educating our diversity lens, is she said, if anything, we see home sharing with our family members as contributing to systemic poverty, because we have, in the Latino community, we never turn away a family member if they need housing. We always let them come live with us, and we don't feel comfortable charging them rent. And so all of a sudden you have, you know, 6 or 7 or 8 people in one home that homeowner is trying to support. And so she was like, if anything, we need to teach our folks that extra room is worth some money. And, you know, and then also how to set boundaries, you know, within that. So I thought, so I stopped, you know, really touching all that until we can get the resources to do the research in terms of how to really go in and have community members from diverse constituencies leading the conversation on how we bring this, because I see huge opportunities in terms of stopping gentrification and, you know, assisting that. I see huge opportunities specifically with seniors in marginalized communities being able to hang onto their homes. I mean, I just see huge opportunities, but again, we need more education to be able to have those dialogues in a way that is impactful.
Do you teach your homeowners about about landlord or tenant laws? Do you provide education or resources to that? How do you educate your homeowners to be good landlords, quote unquote?
Yeah, so again, that's a great question, and it really comes down to the front end work. So, and that's based on compatibility, right? So we're looking to match people who really get along, who really like each other. We have them talk through all the expectations of lifestyles prior to people getting together. And then from there, we basically, you know, articulate, if you have any concerns or you're nervous about this, make sure that you write within your agreement that you have a 30-day out regardless. And
that's for both the homeowner
and the housemate.
And the housemate.
So, I mean, we have had housemates, you know, literally want to bail and they don't want to be responsible for this. And this is, home sharing is very different than that. And so it's not, you know, you got a housemate that wants to get out because they want to go live with their boyfriend, and the person they're sharing the bathroom with is telling them you can't leave. We don't want that. So, or, you know, vice versa in terms of a homeowner, feeling like, okay, I didn't know that this person was going to be out until 3 o'clock in the morning and blaring music until 4, and I have to work at 6. This isn't working for me. We don't want to create a conflictual situation for 2 people who are cohabitating. And so we really educate them to basically run through all the questions first, create a home sharing agreement where they go through, these are the shared spaces, these are the expectations. Yes, I agree with this. No, I don't agree with that. Okay, well, how about if we do this? We also go through questions within the home sharing agreement of how are we going to manage conflict when it comes up, right? Conflict happens in every relationship that you have. It's like my dad used to say, you don't know if you have a true friend yet until you've had your first fight. Everybody has a fight. So we literally put in the home sharing agreement, when we have our first fight, how do we prefer to work through it? Do we prefer to sit down at the kitchen table and talk through it? Do we prefer to text message about it? Do we prefer to email about it? And then if we can't come to an agreement on whatever it is, what are we going to bring someone from Homeshare in? Like, how are we going to do it? So we even try to have them set up a plan for when conflict arises. And most of the time when people follow all of the recommendations and really use the educational tools that we're talking about, we just don't have issues.
Any other questions? Oh, yay, there's more. I'm going to go there, then there, then there. All right. Hello, everyone. Someone may have already answered this question already, but I want to ask again. So what would it look like when you partner up with an organization? How would that whole process work? Because I know you said there's profile, you guys go based off that to match people and stuff, but how would it narrow down? Like, so we're part of Urban League.
Oh yeah.
And we like to help mostly single individuals because there's not that many resources for single people, but mostly for families. So how would that look like? Would that benefit you in any way? Because we do like to help a lot of single people or someone with a partner. How would that whole process look like if you did connect with another organization?
So we just launched a pilot program with Meals on Wheels, and Meals on Wheels basically received funding from OCF to hire a full-time position to work with Homeshare Oregon. What they will be doing, because of the people that they serve, many of the people that they serve are what we call house rich and cash poor. They're seniors, they're living independently, they have an additional 2 or 3 bedrooms, they want someone to move in, they're scared. So their basic staff person is going to be helping to identify people who are conducive to home sharing, who are open to it, et cetera. Then those people will be referred to us, and then we will collectively help with the matching process. So in terms of the Urban League, you know, I think that, again, you know, the trick to all this is without homeowners, we don't have inventory. There's a ton of inventory, but without homeowners going, I'll do that, there's not, right? So consistently sharing with people, this is a great idea. You can make additional money. You can become more financially resilient is incredibly important. Also, we have home sharers that help. They want to get an apartment. They can't afford it on their own, and they don't necessarily know anybody that they could apartment rent with. And so we do have people that reach out and ask for matching around that too. We also have people that are renting homes, and we tell them they have to clear it with their landlord first because we don't want to step into any of that. But as long as they clear it with their landlord, and a lot of the landlords are actually pretty fine with it, they can sublease so that they can continue to rent that house. And those are the kinds of matches that we can help with.
The thing that's important to remember too in that particular situation is if there is an additional requirement by the landlord, like they want to verify your income or whatever, that all has to be communicated so it doesn't catch anyone by surprise. So yeah, would it be the same if Urban League was the income, you know, like for the person, because you know you have to prove income.
Yes,
how
which
would
is
that work?
fantastic. And that's part of the areas that I'm going to talk to Mike about in terms of building this out. So, you know, we've got pretty good ideas in terms of how to maximize this underutilized housing inventory. For instance, you know, if we have an emergency crisis and we have people who are losing their homes because of the fires, and the state is spending $3,800 a month to put them in a hotel, and they're out of space, offer $2,000 to a homeowner to take them in for a month, you know, for a month, $2,000 a month to take somebody. You see how quickly people get over their fear. If the state is saying, I'll give you $2,000 a month to house this family for us until we can get them stabilized in 6 months because their house burned down. So really, really, again, you know, incorporating the home share model and using this housing inventory and putting the community to work is what we're about. And so we've got big plans with that. I don't even remember what your question was now. I just got all fired up, but I'm sorry. Just got all passionate.
Okay. Sure. Yeah, I assume that the dynamics of it is that you get more people requesting to be placed in homes
That's
than
correct.
you have homes. So you're essentially looking for homes.
Mhm.
My comment was that basically you have the office, Multnomah City County Office of Homeless Services, And they're working with all sorts of people. They're not just working with the people on the street. They're working with people that are being evicted from homes and, you know, are facing homelessness. So they, a variety of people that would potentially benefit from, you know,
I
this sort
agree.
of thing. So, you know, anyhow, and the other thought I had was contacting church congregations, because basically you have a large group of people
See
that
why I
are
need more funding?
compatible that are compatible
know.
with each other,
I
and
know.
and generally they would be probably more elderly than you know, young homeowners sort of thing. So it would seem within that group you would find, you know, matches within that group anyhow.
Yeah.
Well, I want you to know that I have reached out to several faith communities in my area, in the Eugene Springfield area, and it is a tough wall to scale. I think they think I'm a scam or something, but what I have found, and it won't surprise anyone, if I actually talk to a person that belongs to a faith community and I've helped them do this, they often find I get in the back door because those cold calls are not working. And I did have some success with the synagogue in Eugene, where I helped a woman match, and she was so excited that she invited me to talk to their sisterhood. And I'm up on their YouTube channel now, of all things. And before the thing was over, two of them had matched with each other, and it was a wonderful thing. And I can put things in their newsletters now. And but doing those cold calls to a faith community, they're very protective of their people. And I used to work in a faith community, and I get it. So it's really all about doing things like this, where we're talking to people. And I was in Corvallis yesterday, and there was a guy at my presentation from the Unitarian Church, and he's going to help me connect. And it's just, you know, word of mouth is the best. Let's see.
Yeah, we do have board members too, though, that are part of the Interfaith Community Alliance. And so churches are a great place that we'd like to get in and do more presentations. But as Judy said, it's just hard to get in sometimes, but we'll get there. It's slow but steady. We're still new.
Yeah, so I think a couple of questions. It sounds like folks can get into the program either through the app or your website
Or calling.
Or calling. Wanted to ask if you have any other referral channels other than those. That's one. When payment, the second question is about payment, like for the homeowner and the person who is boarding, is that done on your app, or is that just done, I give you a check or I give you my bank account
and
details?
again, that's again, the versatility of it. So some homeowners want to check. Some homeowners want to do Venmo. Some homeowners have a direct deposit option that they do, and boarders. It really depends on the personality. Some boarders travel, you know, they're working, so they just want to be able to direct deposit it out of their bank account every month. So it's really, again, up to what we make sure of is that whatever they decide on is in the home sharing agreement.
Okay, so you don't have an option for them to pay through you. They have to kind of figure
no.
out a payment. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the last question is that, do you check in regularly with your clients? So not if there's an issue, just maybe every 3 months. Like, do you have that incorporated into your program?
We're starting to, as we staff up, that'll become a part of it. And this is what part of the reason why we were really specific in reaching out to Meals on Wheels, because they already have that volunteer capacity built into their organization, where I think they call them every 3rd month. It's like a chat check-in or something like that. So we really want to begin to execute that. And that's why we're building out our volunteer base to be able to do that. But that's really a staffing barrier that we'll soon be able to move through. But we do, interestingly enough, they reach out to us quite a bit once they've matched. And, you know, Judy has people that, you know, are still in contact with her, and it's going great and things are fine, you know, and so that's.
Or there's a question because, you know, somebody did something and what should I do? And, you know, so there's, you know, I don't have all the answers, but what I'm really good at is asking them questions so they can figure out what would work for them to help them solve whatever it is they're facing. But we do have access to mediation. Honestly, if somebody gets to the mediation point, I'm not sure that relationship will carry through, but you don't know. And again, we're new. And we are figuring this out. And I am starting to give myself a task to follow up with people a little ways out. But it was coming so fast and furious. It was just the two of us. So yeah, we're getting there. But it's a good standard practice, and I really want to make sure it happens.
Thank you. I'll just say that the Latino community is more complex than the perspective that was shared.
Right.
But I wanted to know, how different is this than the find a roommate and all the other things out there to find a roommate through Facebook, through other things?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. And so, obviously the first thing is that we are incentivizing homeowners to participate, right? So a lot of the ads and stuff that you see on Craigslist or apartment or share a house with, this kind of stuff. This is really about homeowners putting to work that underutilized inventory. The second thing is we provide secure communications and we walk people through the process. So when you do hear about conflict, or you do hear about problems, or you do hear about a situation that somebody got themselves into that they weren't prepared for, it's because they've posted something on Facebook, and then all of a sudden they get, the way that I sort of describe it is, if I'm looking to date somebody, I don't send it out on Twitter and say, hey, I'm looking to date somebody, come get me. You know what I mean? Here's my home address, right? So we provide a secure ability for people to communicate. And then we have staff to be able to walk people through the process, just to ensure that there's that targeted communication style, if you will.
So going back to the whole urban league, so like the way we work is like you would have to provide us proper documents if needed. If we ever did get together, would Homeshare be able to give those, like say a W-9? I know you say you guys have your own lease, very different than a regular lease. Is that possible in the future? Like how would that go?
Yeah, we're looking at that. I mean, here's what we don't want to do. There's so many fantastic organizations doing such great work that we don't want to duplicate, right? We want to, if we know of a partnership that's doing a really great job with rental assistance and getting that money out into the world, it's how do we partner with them so that we can have that flow into a homeowner opportunity as well. Do you see what I'm saying? So these are things that we're continuing to explore and to work out. But at the end of the day, for instance, I've had people from case managers from Legacy Hospital call me and say, I'm sitting here with a woman, she's diabetic, she's in her 70s, she owns a home, she really wants to home share. Can you help me find somebody for her? And what we want to be able to start to do is to empower these companies and businesses themselves to build in home sharing as a part of the services that they provide, because there'll never be enough of us. And we've got so many case managers out there right now, and every person that I talk to under the sun needs help with housing. I don't care what their paid case management job is. They are all talking about the fact that their clients need help finding a place to live. These people are not homeless yet, but they're about to be. And that's where we come in.
Are there any other questions? Because if there's not, you guys might have some extra time. Anything else? Well, Tess and I are going to hang out for a while. Lupin just came in the door. Hey, Lupin, wave. She is our new area manager for the Tri-County area. And she's so new, she doesn't have business cards yet. But if you want to talk to her, give her one of yours. So thank you. Is there any, again, I just want to pause before we conclude. Ooh. What do you say, Tess? We're done.
All right.
I think.
Is
Thank
that
you
it?
so much for coming.
Thanks, you guys. Thanks for all your hard work. I really appreciate it.